What's up, everyone? This is Kenyon, your host and creator of the Hope on Road podcast. Happy Memorial Day to each and every one of you. I hope this long weekend with family and friends has been nothing but good to you. I hope you enjoyed celebrating the kickoff to summer, but most importantly, remembering those who have given the ultimate sacrifice, as well as honoring those still currently serving in the United States military. It is through their acts of courage and bravery we continue to remain a safe nation. My deepest gratitude goes out to all of you. Thank you for your service. Welcome, and thank you for tuning in to episode 6, Hey Mr. Carter. Something I want to mention is I'm on this road with you looking for hope or a light, my own light. Other people see it in me, but I still haven't seen it for myself. I'm more aware of moments when I do have that light. We all have it. It's just we're afraid of it. And it makes more sense as I go on this journey. I'm on the road with you. And like I said, my big awakening was about 2 years ago. And every day I'm learning something new. So we're always awakening when we're learning new things and our consciousness is shifted. I just want to make that apparent because this week I was just very triggered. I've lost sight of the path. Honestly, I'm just very impatient, I guess you could say. And listening to other members that speak on the collective, they have said the same things of the patience, everything's slow moving. And I just feel like I'm never doing enough and I'm never doing anything right, which that ties in with that perfectionism that I'm trying to release. And maybe you are on the similar path too of stuff that you have to let go. And I just feel like at first, like, I didn't want to come off as like a fraud or anything. Like, I'm always going to be searching for that hope. You know, that's what keeps me going, like the desire and hope. And I just want to be as open and real about my journey as possible. So without further ado, let's get into episode 6. Hey, Mr. Carter. This is going to tie in about 2 Mondays ago. I was having like a Netflix sports drama type night. I started Friday Night Lights, which I love, by the way. Season 4, I like the last 2 seasons for some reason. Season 4 and 5. I started season 4 with my mom, and then she loves it too, and she's a Riggins fan. But I watched the first episode with her, and then she got a phone call, and she was on the phone forever, so I paused it because we wanted to get back into it. And I was going through, and I saw Coach Carter was on Netflix, and I was like, wow, I haven't seen that movie in forever. And I kind of got those tingles that I normally get, right? The goosebumps. So I put it on and, watched it from the beginning. And I literally watched mostly the whole movie until she was off the phone. And it just brought back, because I first seen it in theaters. It came out in like January of 2005. So I was like in 10th grade. And I remember going with this girl, Nicole, who I don't speak to anymore. I mean, I don't really talk to anyone from my own high school, but she was like on the softball team. So she was like into sports stuff too. And, I just liked it because I like Samuel L. Jackson, and it was like one of Channing Tatum's first movies, and basketball and all sorts of stuff. And I kind of like college basketball. So, even though it's high school in the movie, but Ashanti's in there and some good actors and actresses. And it just started off the past 2 weeks of whether I'm watching or listening to something about the topic of fear. And what does fear look like for you or for me? So I remember a few months ago, I was making a list of stuff I actually feared. I fear of rejection, how I'm perceived. I fear being alone, because we're all parts of the whole, all experiencing self as a human, this human experience. So we think, well, what happens when we die? Is it just dark? Are we alone? Because we come in this earth and we leave this earth alone. So I feel like all of us have a collective fear upon that. There's so much stuff that I fear. And then there's stuff that I just walk into without any fear in the world. So it's interesting when I'm becoming more aware of what I do fear. And I was listening to, Wednesday I was Ubering, and I had enough gas money to get 75 miles on there until I was out again. So I was flipping through podcast episodes for Aaliyah Lovely, who is the first person I ever listened to about spiritual things when this first was happening to me. So she, gives a lot of knowledge on there. I mean, in her own experience. So I love that. We have the same rising sign. We have certain similarities. I don't know. I just feel like she's a great mentor, as much as we never met in person, just exchanged words on social media. But so episode 75 for her, right? Because I had 75 miles on the tank, was about change, about the fear of change. It was like 35 minutes on just the topic of change. And I've had so many different changes in my life that I just kind of gracefully went through each change. So I wasn't aware of a fear of change in that way, but I feel like COVID brought out a lot of fears, collective fears, especially with change, losing jobs, losing family members. What fear of the unknown was brought to our awareness, And I feel like that's, like, for me, like, I sometimes fear change too, because we crave that comfortable state. And she goes into deep detail about how she likes change. She doesn't fear it as much as others, but I mean, there's moments where we don't fear change, but there's moments we do when it's not in our control. And that's another thing. The fear of having control. That was brought to my awareness this past year, of how I have to control everything in my life, whether it's finances, and my analytical mind overloads and overworks to grasp onto that control as the universe is shifting my way of thinking and living. We're not in control here. We control how we react to the situations life gives us, whether they are from outside sources or from our own choices. It's just blowing my mind thinking about it recently. I feel like we're just like that sim or avatar, or we're just conduits and tools used to have this experience, but we also bring our own unique gifts to the table too. I totally 100% feel that. But this idea of change it's been drastic, like during the year when COVID first hit, I didn't fear at all. I feel like out of sight, out of mind. And the funny thing is I didn't get sick like until the end of 2020, when it was like really mild. And I knew I had it through a test, which they took forever to respond. So by the time I got the test result, I was able to be done quarantining within 2 days. So I feel like most of you that are listening have had COVID one way or another. This isn't going to be a COVID talk, but a lot of people feared the illness. And I feel like the more people feared, the more they ended up getting it. Fear feeds on fear, in a sense. Like my friend Lindsay, she had COVID 2 weeks ago. Then her mom got it, and she was worried about her mom because her mom has lupus. And her son apparently had it, but he was like too young, so I don't think she didn't test him for it because he got over it pretty fast. But she had trouble breathing, and she was scared. And I told her, I was like, you're going to be fine. Do not fear, because it eats off the fear. It thrives off that. And I 100% agree with that. When I first was learning about the topic of fears, especially collective fears, you shouldn't fear. You should only, when you're in danger, imminent danger in the moment, whether, God forbid, you're getting attacked or a car accident or some sort, you know what I mean? Those moments where you have to fight or flight, those are the scary things, the actual things that could be fear, because it's danger in that moment. And I felt that really hit home when I heard about that type of advice, because a lot of us fear uncomfortable situations. I could look back on my life, all the great moments and the people I've met that were very huge part of my life, whatever time in that moment of life, the root was being uncomfortable. Like when I went to college for nursing, I had to stay up there at college because I had so much classwork, and like being at the clinical facility in Indiana, PA, which was about an hour and a half from where I lived near Pittsburgh. And I was like, if I'm going to have to stay up here, because I was staying at my younger sister's, she had one more year left at IUP, at her place with her roommates, I was like, I'm going to at least have a social life, even if I'm like later in age. Like, it's whatever, I could fit in, whatever. I joined a fraternity later in life, and it was one of the best things I ever did. I met some of the coolest guys and girls in the Greek community, some of my best friends that I still am in touch with, and I didn't graduate because nursing wasn't for me as much as like the science aspect. School just wasn't for me. Now I feel like it could be for me, but I'm going a different route from what I wanted to do when I was younger. Just express myself to the fullest. But that's scary for me too, right? I feel like over the years I've come into out of my shell, bloomed. But high school was an awful experience for me. And then around junior year, I started meeting people and becoming friends with mostly women, but from other schools and stuff, because they were like just more accepting. As much as I wasn't accepting of myself, I still was like in the closet, air quotes. But it was just not the right time. Like now it's like the gay kid's the prom king. Like it's so different, even 10 years. And I graduated 2007 from high school. So it's just been like year upon year of just fully accepting who I am with the cards that I was dealt. And a lot of us struggle for that too, to be our most authentic, real self. I feel like we still struggle. I feel like I still have to I can't say this or I can say that, because our culture, cancel culture and whatnot, it's just insane. But I feel like the more blunt and real and honest you are, if you're coming from a good place, that's the best you can get from a person. But it takes time to adapt. And just podcasting, I was afraid to do that. What did I say the first episode? I had a fear of my voice. Now I've been listening to the episodes, and now it's like it's a different person I'm listening to. I'm starting to see myself from a different point of view, whether it's just through the words I'm speaking. But it's very interesting that a month or two ago, I started this the end of April, and I had the idea for it the end of 2021, but I just had fear around being uncomfortable and saying like exactly how I feel about my journey and what I'm learning and whatnot. Because how would I be looked at of this new age spirituality, seeking, my interests in it? People talk about spiritual influencers and whatnot. I'm not a cult leader. I'm not, as much as I want to be an influencer, I do. Was before I even got into this and this happened to me, but I'm just giving my own experience into what I am learning about and I love now. My life has completely shifted since COVID, and I feel like a lot of us, that's happened to us too. I went from being stuck in that negative loop of serving at restaurants to now Uber driving in the meantime to make some type of income. But I even had fears about that. Why? I don't know. It's like, to start something that I'm not comfortable with, it takes me forever. So the fear I don't know. It's like a fear that I can't even put the word to it. Fear of initiation, I guess, to just start. That's all I have to do. And once I started podcasting, like recorded the first episode, it comes so easy now. Now it's all about discipline for me. Like getting up every day and Ubering, as much as it's boring me and I want to fall asleep driving, I have to make some type of income. Or I'm trying to be consistent with the podcast, at least doing an episode a week. Like I'm going to be doing like 2 a week. But one's more about the branch of astrology and human design, and the others, my experiences all tie into like whatever the topic is for this week. So 2 weeks ago, there was 2 episodes on letting go. And then the last week's topic was about, I can't even remember. Polarity and duality. And these are all topics that I started learning about right away. It's on my spiritual seeking quest, right? But the information that I'm relaying is the stuff that stuck with me the most. So I feel like I already had this episode's topic, which is about fear. And I feel like we're going to be coming back to it in the future. Because fear just expands, collective fears. And last week when I talked about my whole day experience, how I first listened to a podcast when I was showering in the morning, and then I watched Candyman, that definitely is about collective fears. Jordan Peele does an amazing job at showing that through his horror movies. It was about a man that literally was a servant, and he was painting a white girl back in the day, right? The whole story of Candyman. And him and her were lovers, and she got pregnant. And the father of the girl hired his friends, and they chased him and beat him, smeared him with honey, and he was stung alive by bees. It's insane to me, the whole story. But the projects in inner city Chicago, there was a guy that would give candy to the children, but then they started finding razor blades in the candy, and then children were going missing, and they killed him, and then the whole story keeps continuing, because they have this fear all based on this guy. But each time, the Candyman is a different man, a different person. But that collective fear, they were afraid to say his name, because if you did say his name 5 times in the mirror, he would come and get you. And I remember being a kid, being scared to do that, but we did it anyway, you know? I was so afraid when I was younger, and I don't know why. I was afraid of the dark, and I needed my mom all the time. Now I need the dark to sleep. But when this stuff started first happening to me, I was scared. I admit, as a 31-year-old man, it was about to be 32 when this happened, I was afraid. I had the lamp on in my room on most nights, and I'm not even kidding. But the more I become more comfortable with it and integrate it into my actual human living, it's kind of hard because my head's in the clouds, fantasy world, but I have to be in the moment as best as I can. I feel like I have a fear of being in the moment because it's hard to be present, really. Whether you get distracted on your phone or you're in La La Land or reminiscing on the past, because I feel like the past does show you things that are correlating to today's events that can help you, depending on your own experience. But that's getting back into the movie Candyman. I already was formulating my next episode after episode 5 on the polarity and duality. I was like, I'm talking about fear after that, because I didn't know where I was going with it in that time of day, during that day. But as the day progressed and I hesitated I felt there was just a feeling like not to jump right into the episode right away with that whole ordeal that I talked about on episode 5. But, you know, it's like weeks in advance I know what I should talk about to give some type of structure. But I like to see the experiences unfold. And last Monday I was watching Coach Carter and fear come up again. The stuff that really I felt in my body, the tingles and just the feeling, you know, and that's my intuition showing me through movies and the pop culture and the stuff that I love. Coach Carter is an amazing example of different life lessons. You know, there's so many intertwined within the movie. Some of them are the importance of wanting a better life. Another lesson is true champions find the victor from within. That light that's from within all of us. And that's what I currently am on the road to doing. And through my experience, I want to share with all of you ways in which to find yours. And fear. The lesson on that we all have to face our deepest fear. And that's what struck me to formulate this episode. So Mr. Ken Carter, right? So my nickname is Kenny because my last name is Kenyon. So people call me Ken, Kendall, Kenny, B. Kenny, Kenyon, just my last name, Brand, you know, I have so many different nicknames. But one of the players on the team that Samuel L. Jackson, Mr. Coach Carter, coaches, his first name is Kenyon. So, and back in 2005 when this came out, I was like, nah, that's so crazy. But it's just so weird how certain things are like trying to get my attention my whole life. And now that I'm going back, rewatching things, re-listening to things, even reading about certain things. And I know it sounds like the main character, but syndrome or whatever, but I guess when you're trying to heal certain parts of yourself, you do have to put yourself as the main character, I feel, especially in this experience. You have to put yourself first, and I'm not used to that. I'm used to putting myself on the back burner, helping others, focus on everyone else's lives and not my own, So it's not being selfish, it's learning how to balance, I feel, the most. And I'm still having a hard time integrating into my normal real world living with my new spiritual seeking living. It's just been a lot. But we all are on our own time and path and clock, so you don't have to rush. It's, as much as I feel like I'm failing and not rushing, that's just, fear of failure is huge for me. We all have that, I feel. Most of us do. We all fear failure and success too. And I have no patience, and I'm trying to learn patience. I feel like I fear patience, and I'm just like, we live in an age that's so, I want it now, and then you're on to the next before you even like feel the gratitude towards whatever you've received, especially with blessings. I feel like a lot of us we have the right for blessings, but I feel like a lot of them don't come as fast as we want, because we have to learn patience, and we have to learn of letting go of those fears will create new room for those things that we desire and those blessings that we deserve. Most of us are just filled with dark energy and hate and, collectively, because of what society instills in our minds. Whether it's the news. The news is the most negative thing ever. I hate when people say that I'm being negative, because those people probably watch the news. Literally, I don't watch the news. And if I hear of certain news stories, it's because of social media. And it's just a huge breaking news. Like, I don't live under a rock, not watching the news, I just feel like it's just negative. And then they'll have like a 5-second story at the end that's somewhat positive, but really there's no balance in there. And that just creates more fear, especially with the older generations who don't even want to open up their minds. That's their choice. It's their life. But I'm just saying, those elderly people, you can learn a lot from them, especially the ones that are open to change in their minds, and they've lived longer than us in this particular incarnation. But yeah, the news just creates more fear, especially the media does, if anything. Like, why do they want us to be fearful, to be afraid of our own power? And that's like the big thing, that is shown in Coach Carter. One of the players, Timo Cruz, who has the amazing quote or speech and answers the coach's question about his biggest fear with that moving poem, about his hesitance to reach his own full potential before he thanks him for Mr. Carter saving his life and steering him towards a productive path. It's a pivotal scene in the film, and it inspires myself, and I'm sure most people that have seen it, but I forgot because I was in high school, it was wrong time for it, but it does come back. And, that's probably why it's on these streaming platforms, to open up your heart and your awareness to what you fear. It inspires all of us to face our fears and insecurities head on, to become the best versions of ourselves. There's so many lessons from this movie. Insane. And it's a good movie too. And the main song from it was from Twista and Faith Evans, called Hope, or Hopeful. I think it's Hope, actually. I remember that being a jam back when that movie was being advertised. And I actually listened to it like last week when I was making the little promo for Instagram for this episode. I was listening to that song. It was inspiring, it also teaches about champions finding the victor within. I thought that was like a cool wording, from what I researched. I had my own thoughts that I've been giving with my experience with the film and how my name is tied to certain characters, interestingly enough. But I was reading from Revolt .tv. It's like an article about some of the stuff, and it was saying how in life we often look at how far we have to go or how we've fallen short without acknowledging how far we've come and the inner strength and perseverance that it took to get there. That's a huge tingle for me right now as I read that. It's just insane to me how the stuff that I've loved my whole life, the movies and the moments and the songs and everything, aid me on my journey, because I have to pick myself up, because either people think I'm a lunatic, crazy, have no idea, like off the deep end. Yeah, I had to go to the deep end to learn how to swim back to shore. I'm the anchor for myself, and I feel like giving my story as it's progressing and unfolding is the most authentic it will get, rather than writing a book about it after, because healing is the rest of my life. I don't think it's going to just stop after a year. I feel like some people come into their success and then this happens and shit changes, and it's different for everyone. Everyone's story is different. But why do we fear so much ourselves? Why do we fear our own light? I fear it, and I don't know why. I'm still wondering why. I want to see the light within myself and embrace it and become one with it, but I still have that underlying fear. And the one player's quote about our deepest fear is very moving. So my mind logically understands, but I need my soul and heart and mind to collaborate, I guess, in a sense, come together as one to see that, to feel that. Because like I said, giving gratitude every day is a struggle when I don't feel it. I like to give gratitude when it means the most, where I feel the gratefulness, and just saying I'm grateful for this, I'm grateful for this, and just list like stuff you're grateful for just to do it, like so it becomes another habit. I feel like it works for some, but for me, I need to feel it. I need to really own me being grateful for things. And when it comes to fear, like now that certain fears are being brought to my awareness that I never thought I had. Like as a kid, I said I was afraid of the dark, which I feel like most kids are, because we come from light. So, right there is, why do you think we're afraid of the dark? Because we're innocent. That's all we know is light. So when we come to this earth, it's like almost like the opposite, like dark, destruction, scariness. We don't know. It's just very weird how, if you even look back from when you were born, how stuff adds up. I was afraid to go on. My stepmom pushed me on all the rides at Kennywood. I was afraid to go on. But after I went on them, I loved them. I owe her a lot to that. I'm grateful for her moments in my life. I don't really talk to her anymore, but she is my half-sister. Well, I just got her my sister. We have the same dad's mom, and I was watching slasher flicks at age 3, like all the horror movies. And I was afraid to go up to my dad's house. Was like 3 levels, like 3 apartment levels. But he owned all of them. And for a while he owned the first and second floor, and the second floor is where my stepbrother and sister stayed. But sometimes they were at a friend's, and when I had to go to bed because I was falling asleep, my stepmom was always like, all right, go upstairs. But I was scared because we were just watching horror movies, you know? I was afraid of Chucky under the bed. Now I love him. I think he's funny as shit. But, you know, I'm a little bit more sensitive to horror films. I think now that I'm aware of my own energy and the more it grows. But I still love them. You know, I don't know what that is about. I mean, there's different studies on it and stuff, but, you know, it's being scared from the comfort of your home, you know. But I'm afraid of guns, you know, and after the tragedies that just have happened in Texas and Buffalo with those kids, it's so sad. It's just like parents are afraid to send their kids to school. My friend Lindsay, her son's 4. She's afraid too. She talks about it. She talks about what she would do if that happened. Like, I'm like, oh my gosh, I want kids one day, but sometimes it's just like, I don't want to put a soul through the shit that we go through daily. But that's not my choice, you know. If I'm supposed to have kids, it'll happen, you know. But that's all, we choose to come here to learn, and it's hard to logically remember that. So yeah, we logically understand, but our mind can't go past that. It's like, it's just all imagination from there and then. I don't even know how to word it. It's just, we logically can understand the concept, but to imagine it, it's all through our imagination. It's all different for each of us uniquely. After that, the spiritual realm, anything that's talked about, all the fun stuff like aliens, all sorts of stuff. But it's the fears. Like, what if someone just snaps and chooses the darkness? Just like these shootings in America are just getting awful. It's me driving at night at Uber at a random red light in a bad part of town, and I just feel like someone's going to pull up and shoot me. And I thought that for years, and I don't know where that comes from. Now, it could be thoughts from others, because I know we're connective. Our thoughts aren't really ours. It's just streams of thoughts in our collective conscious. But I feel like a lot of us are afraid of, especially with these shootings and the media just stirring up more and more. So like the elderly people that, you know, have done their time here and are just trying to enjoy the rest of their life, their fears are, you know, we're like really vulnerable as humans, especially in the US and, you know, other countries too. Like, I couldn't even imagine. But I guess from the US standpoint, just the stuff we've been going through in our political disasters over the years, tied to COVID, tied to financial problems, tied to the crazy amount of gas, how much gas is, like, scarcity is also a fear. And that's the thing with me, like, I'm financially falling apart. Honestly, I really am. And, you know, but I'm going to be honest about it on this podcast. I'd ask my friend Nicole for $25 Cash App for a haircut because I didn't want to cancel on my barber again because I just hate that. But I also have a fear of asking people for help, because every time I ask someone for help, grief is somehow attached to it, especially with family members. So I just get buried in when one problem just multiplies and snowballs because I just can't, it's just taking me forever to ask for help. So I asked her for $25 the other day to get a haircut. I said, this is going to be uncomfortable for me, but she like understands the process that I'm going through. And I cashed out her $25 back after I worked throughout the day, because I make money like as the day goes with Uber. It's like the most convenient, but I'm learning to work on my own, and that's discipline, teaching myself discipline. And at first it looks like I'm fucking mess. Honestly, it's a mess. My life is a mess. This whole year has been a mess. But that hope that's in there keeps me coming back for more and keeps me going. And you have that too. I just want you to know. We're all the same, but you have that too. And it's been a rocky ride, you know. COVID for me personally, like I said before, was a relaxing year compared to the past 2 years personally. For others, it was awful. And it's hard to put them on the back burner when I'm talking about myself, you know what I mean? But it's my whole life I've been putting myself in the back burner, like I said. So I'm giving credit to where credit should be due for everyone the best that I can. So if you take offense to what I just talked about, sorry. However, this journey is about loving yourself. And we forget to do that because we're so busy loving others. But I feel like other people fulfill their love through helping others. So it's hard because I'm not conscious in other people's minds. I'm only in this body to understand that. But if my energy's off, I logically know different things that shows my energy's off, but now I can feel it. So that is the truth, you know, in the experience of how to revert my energy and my focus to something else to get me back on track with my energy. And studying energy and different human designs is just amazing. It's opened my eyes up to way more different things. But it's the fears that I still cling on to that keep holding me back. And, you know, it's a process. You know, Rome wasn't built in a day. Literally, that's the best thing I've heard my whole life. Because it's so true. You know, as you're building yourself as a human. But I also have a fear that I'm going to run out of time. Which is an interesting one. I feel like I've had since the start of this journey. I feel like everything has to be done fast. Because I'm going to run out of time. You know, like, I need to heal myself so I can meet someone, so I can start a family and have those things that I want, those gifts of life, the marriage, the children. But I feel like I'm running out of time, and I'm afraid of that. So I stop and keep myself in that negative loop. So it's a process of learning how to refocus my thoughts and my thinking to the positive light, you know? And learning how to forgive myself while I mess up during the process. Because yes, I do the thing that I shouldn't do, you know, but it's like a learning. It's seeing where you can stretch, you know, and it's all about balance, and it's just all sorts of things, and it's everything piling up, and it's overwhelming, and you feel like you're alone because your friends are still doing what they do and loving their life, and through social media lenses. I don't know if they really are or not, but I have other friends on this journey, but I feel like no one talks about anything. I love to talk about, I wish someone would text me because I don't want to overreach, you know, but I love to give pointers of what I've been through so far and to see like where it was the same for us, you know, on your journey, or how can you help me if you've been on this longer than me? Because it's leveling up just for yourself. You're always competing against yourself, but other people's experiences give you more hope than you already have, you know, just to keep you going. Because when you get in those low moments, which they come and you're more aware of them, you lose hope, it feels like, but you don't, you know. And I still get up, dust myself off, and keep going. Keep your chin up. Like Robin Williams says in Jumanji. I like think of that scene every time, like, keep your chin up, keep your chin up. When the boy turns into like a monkey or whatever because he tries to cheat. So like when I feel like I've failed myself, I say that to myself because I don't really know if I failed myself or not. Maybe it was all pre-planned to make that mistake, because a lot of our mistakes, you learn from it. Like when I would miss questions on tests, those are the questions I always remembered the answers to, you know, the ones that I like missed or failed, if that. And the only reason why I failed is because I wasn't interested in it and I had better things to do. You know, it wasn't that I'm not capable. I feel like we all are capable, and you're not stupid. I hate when people call people stupid now, because we're all intelligent beings, just in our own way. Just because you don't know physics doesn't mean you're stupid. It's because you don't give a fuck about physics. Like, I don't understand why people can't grasp that. It's like everyone has to live how a person perceives their reality. And that's why, like, everyone's truths are different and unique to them. And if you put them all together, it's just truth. So I like that podcasts are becoming a thing now, so we can all share our truths and see, you know, even if we disagree on certain people's truths, that's fine, but it's their experience, you know, and it's true to them. So I just feel like it opens our minds up more to come together, because we have to connect with that light inside of us to make any of the changes we want to see in this world, where our future children can go to school safely without getting murdered and shot to death. You know, it's just been awful, like the stuff in the news, especially just this year in general, just everything. It just, I feel like it's that snowball. It's happening on the outside world, my outside reality, and it's happening on the inside to me. Mine's more financially based with this rental car stuff that I'm going through and all sorts of stuff. But, you know, from a astrological standpoint, having my sun sign in the second house of finances is, I really came here to learn about the financials and the material world. But my self-worth is attached to finances. So I've been struggling financially, so my self-worth has been down. But people will look at it like, well, he's just materialistic. No, I'm not. It's just like my actual, like, you know, self-confidence, my self-worth is diminished when I have these financial problems and I struggle to ask people for help, because I don't really know who to turn to without getting some type of emotional aggression or grief towards it. And other people are struggling too. Like my friend Nicole helped with $25, amazing, but she knew I would pay her back at the end of the day, and I would do the same for her if I had the money. I would do it for anyone if I had the money, but that fear of scarcity is running rapid in our collective consciousness, especially with the prices of everything getting higher up. Gas is like $5 almost in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania's always been more expensive on the gas front, but it's just insane. Especially with Ubering, now it's like I put $10 in, and like when I need gas again, I pay another 10. Like that's how it's been, honestly, because I'm just not, and I feel like the gas goes faster than it used to, I think. Yeah, I'm driving more too, but even when I first started Ubering in March, like gas was just starting to climb, but now it's like watered down. It goes, I don't know, it just seems like all scam bullshit just to keep us at our lowest, because when we are in those negative vibrational thoughts, we don't come together. We don't make change. I don't know who's running the show, but it's just like more, it seems just all negative, you know? I don't know. But what one person thinks is negative, other people think is positive. I don't fucking know. I don't know. But this just seems like collectively like just an awful change. But stuff has to change, and it gets worse before it gets better, and you hear it all the time. And it's just a shiny example through our own experience, you know. But one of the players is named Kenyon, his first name, in Coach Carter, which I thought is funny even when I first seen it. But his girlfriend, you know, he's a senior in high school, his girlfriend's pregnant, Ashanti, who is amazing, by the way, singer. But she's pregnant, and I remember he's trying to, like, you know, make love to his girlfriend, but her sister's baby or cousin's baby's crying, and her mom's working, and like her and him are watching the baby. You know, she has to get the bottle ready, and they stop kissing, and he gets stressed out, and she, you know, knows how to hold the baby and all sorts of stuff because she's been taking care of her cousin's baby for so long and her sister's baby. But he's just, you could tell the fear that he has towards having a child, not knowing what to do after school. You know, because he wants to go to college. You know, Coach Ken Carter gets him on like fast track to college and turns him into like young gentlemen and staying away from like the hood aspect, I guess, that is portrayed in the movie, because some of the guys just literally quit the team because he's so strict at first. But the one guy, Timo, his name is Worm in the movie, like comes back, and does all the push-ups and suicides and workout stuff that he missed. And, the team comes together and helps him finish because they see how bad he wants to restructure his life and, get out of there, because he was like dealing drugs and stuff since he wasn't playing basketball those few weeks when he like got kicked out of the gym during the first scene when Samuel L. Jackson becomes the coach, but boys always give the new guy a hard time, whether it's an adult or not, especially in high school. I just like sat quietly and observed, honestly, but I don't know. It just was so crazy how this movie, my mom was on the phone and I flipped through and I started watching it and I started living those experiences and started remembering things from my past of what I was afraid of and what I still am, of how I am perceived by others, being alone. I'm afraid of my own power and light. And when it's power, it doesn't cause pain and it's not from a dark place, It's still a concept I'm still grasping, I guess. But being aware that I'm actually afraid of change too, because I don't have control when it's changed by outside forces, such as COVID and losing my job in November. It's like I hesitate to take initiative. Not on everything, but some things, especially when it's financially derived. And I don't know why, and I'm still learning that. But having my son, like I said, in my second house, it's interesting because I feel like once I flow with my own energy, my sun sign, will come through. The son, the father, will come through and, help me shift my financial from negative to positive in my own experience. So yes, all week I've been losing hope. I've been triggered. I've been reacquainted with my shadow self for the past 2 weeks since this lunar eclipse a few weeks ago. But it comes in waves, and the high waves and the low waves, and I just have to ride them out. But for me, it's like learning my energy type. It's in human design, it's like being a projector, which is like 20% of the population. You have to ride those waves before you make any type of decision, and you have to wait for invitation. So it's like, I hate being criticized by people that haven't opened their minds or consciousness to these topics that are more elevated, because getting yelled at because I'm too tired physically to do certain tasks like the normal 70% of humans, because my energy, it's a conduit of energy. I don't have certain energy centers or, like most people. I'm a conduit of energy. So like a lot of my chakras are undefined, which learning about that is just insane. And I hate confrontation. So I don't ask for help. I don't want to get in confrontation. I'm learning to be at least communicative. Sorry, can't even pronounce that word. With others, just to say, hey, look, I'm having a hard time financially. Is there any way you can help me out? So on and so forth. And that's what I've been doing the best that I can. But, there is light at the end of the tunnel. It's just that patience that I have to work on. And just the worrying I have to let go of, which is a lower vibration of Virgo, too. It's interesting to see because, my mom's sun sign's a Virgo. So I've grown up in a family of worrying. But then when I bring it to their attention, it's like, no, we don't. Blah, blah, blah. But that's like, I feel like I'm just battling everyone else's egos most of the time. I'm at least aware when their egos are out, other people's, and when my own is out. But we all have scarcity fears too with finances. I just feel like not all of us get all that heavy strain as others do. I just need enough to get me out of the hole, just not, But that's, I'm working on that too. I'm doing the best that I can with the energy that I have and the life that I'm given. Each day is a blessing, and I feel like this process is showing me that too, It's another day to help yourself the best that you can and love yourself the best that you can. But letting go of fears is going to be a process in itself. First you have to become aware of what you even fear. Because some of the stuff I didn't even realize was a fear, But it was like the quote from Coach Carter that, hearing that in 2005, like, it was a pivotal moment in the movie for sure. But like being in 10th grade, it's like, okay, not all of us are wise beyond our years in 10th grade, but it moves me now more than ever. And he says, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that frightens us. You playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people will not feel insecure around you. As we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give others permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. Each and every one of us are capable of doing really great things. You just got to believe it. I'm trying my hardest to believe in it myself. And that's why I said at the beginning, I'm on this road with you, We can bring each other up by sharing our experiences too, while they're happening, And I feel like when we surround ourselves with successful and full of light people, we feel more empowered. We bring that hope that we already have to our awareness, to the forefront. We just have to not be afraid of our power and own it, embrace it, make it work for us. Challenge ourselves every day to take full advantage of the potential that we all have. And through this, we can bring other good people along with us on the journey, on this road. Just with a little bit of hope and a little bit of love and a little bit of faith, it just all builds upon each other each day. Even when it's an awful, shitty day, right? We're entitled to them, if anything. But just from, that movie, he turns, a losing team, and he inspires them and brings them success and hope just through a little structure and balance and discipline. And that's what I'm doing for myself, into learning to face our fears and to really love that light within, not from a fear-based standpoint. And like I said, I fear the power that I have myself because I don't know what it could do or what it's about. I'm still logically learning about it, right? But it's like that step past what the mind can perceive and just embracing it through imagination or whatever it is. And through this experience, it's when you become more aware of it, it's like when you see it in your actual experience in the human world, like reality, it's wild. I feel like it just makes your heart full, and it's contagious, and so there are people that unconsciously know their light within. They've done the work, maybe it took them years, or maybe it took them 1 year, who knows? But the more that we come to the light within each of ourselves, the more we can come together as the parts to the one whole, as I started talking about last episode. Each episode's just building upon each other with this journey too. It's like I said, a voice journal for me, but this helps me like sort out how I've been feeling. And I can't really talk to people, whether it's a therapist or whatnot, about just those thoughts, nothing to be analyzed as, oh, he needs to get on this medication, blah, blah, blah. This is just like my own experience, and maybe you can feel it too in your own journey, or maybe you have questions or stuff that you want to share to other people by starting your own podcast. We're just all here to lift each other up. It's not about self-serving personal gain. It's personal gain as building confidence and finding that light within, for sure. But I think everyone should be able to do that for themselves, and we should help each other do that. Because the more we help ourselves, the more all of those in our reality help each other. I heard it before when this journey first started, about when you heal within, others around you heal. And it's like, when I get triggered and get mad, I'm like, wait, so I'm doing all this work and they're not doing anything? But I don't think it works like that. It's just, you just attract brighter the more you shine bright. It's the vibration. It's all the game of energy, literally. It's so wild to keep saying it out loud, but the more I make sense of my thoughts as I speak them, the more it makes amazing sense. But I could be wrong about every single thing, and that's the beauty of it, because we don't know for sure. The more I learn and the more I think I know, the more I don't know anything. And I always want to be right, and I always want to have people go my way. Sounds like a cult leader, right? But it's not. If it works for me, because I've been to those lowest of places my whole life, being a wallflower, being, made fun of, being horrible acne, and like no self-confidence. And I've seen how I've picked myself up over the years. Now that I'm in my 30s, I'm getting to a lower place, but I'm transitioning into something greater than I ever thought possible. And that transition is just, it looks like a massive shitstorm, but really it's just, from an outside perspective, something beautiful. It's going to be a lifelong journey. The road is going to be tough, but there's going to be a lot of triumph, and helping each other along the way is how we're going to get through, this human experience. Because at the end of the day, we all have our own truths, but we don't know 100% why we're here. But I think to understand our light and to embrace it and become one with it, and to get over the fears that we have and all the negative stuff to most of our minds, just truly love each of our lives and become one together. We're so disconnected, being aware that how disconnected I was from myself was just mind-blowing. And as I said before, Rome wasn't built in a day, but coming back to my true essence has been the blessing inside of the past 2 years, feeling like a curse, if anything. It's just the balance, and sharing my journey as I'm on the road with you is just, it's helping me communicate my feelings to strangers and people I do know, but also being a voice for those that don't have one, or learning how to find their own. Because when I'm really passionate about something, I will stand up for it, I bring that sass with me that's it's always there with me, I bring it out to play sometimes, but it's all from a place of love and light. as best as I can shed it. But I am human. I'm only human. I was triggered in a darker place this week, but I'm learning as I grow. To be open and vulnerable, sharing my story as it's happening with people I know and people I don't even know, from recordings of my own voice on this podcast, it just amazes me looking back even the past few months on how much I've let go of that fear of being perceived by others. I feel like it still lingers, but it's diminishing the more I work on myself. I'm on the journey with you, and I'm healing myself as I'm speaking to others on how to help themselves through my own experience. It's just mind-blowing. But thank you for tuning in to episode 6. Episode 7 will be uploaded later today, but that's just starting the Astroverse, which is diving into astrology and all that fun stuff if you're interested. So like every odd episode will be kind of like just a new modality that I've learned about and want to share what I felt was most pertinent to my own truth. And like every even episode will be more of the experiences that I've been having from a week-to-week basis and how it's tying into my own journey of getting to my true essence and finding that light within, and learning how to shine it onto others the best that I can. Even when I'm in a dark place, I try to, I pulled myself out this weekend to be as consistent with the episodes, by doing this episode today. Because, I've just been, in a rough spot, but, the weeks are highs, the weeks are lows. I never know what I'm going to get. I feel like that's the fun in it, but not when it's the lows, let me tell you. And I bet you can agree with that as well. But thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on the road. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Hope on Road. Never miss an episode by subscribing, and don't forget to follow @Hope on Road on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok.